me admit all our attendees.
I'm not hearing. Oh,
Okay.
I'm not hearing.
Our audience are joining. Let me play the video.
Hello?
Dorcas,
Let
hi Dorcas. You may
Dorcas.
want to put your mute on. Thanks. Mike.
Okay.
The world is changing faster every day, but human spirit will never fade away. We dream, we feel, our love is real. That's the power no machine can steal. We are not replaced, we're standing tall through the future's call. We'll rise above it all. Ain't a guide, but it won't define. The light of humanity will always shine. Together we rise, together we grow. The fire inside will always show.
Coach Ibrahim, it's your stage.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues and friends. A very good day to you all, and welcome back to the day 2 of this amazing, powerful, and inspiring conversation. Yesterday, we asked a bold question: are we being replaced by AI? Today, the question remains the same, but I invite you to change hats. Shift your mindset and look at things differently. As Dr. Wayne Dyer wisely said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So what if the real question is not about replacement, but about evolution? Technology is moving fast. AI can process in seconds what we use to take us years. But the real game changer is not the speed of AI. It's the speed of human adaptation. And by adaptation, I mean how fast we can shift our mindset, upgrade our skills, adjust our behaviors, and strengthen our emotional resilience to keep pace with change. AI speed is impressive, but it is our adaptability, our ability to learn, evolve, lead wisely, that will shape the future. So before we begin, let us warm up with a reflection question. If you could give AI just one unique human skill, what's that? If you give AI just one unique human skills that you believe it lacks, what would that be? Just write one word or short phrase. Let me see that on the chat. Ethics, great. Okay, what else? Okay. Let me see more. Make it. Let us be energizing. Let us energize of a switch. Great. Okay. So today's session is not just about imagining the future, it's about shaping it together. Together we grow. It's a human alongside the machines that we created, and just that we created. So great reflections that I got, and the future will not be written by technology alone. It will be shaped by human leaders that blends intelligence with empathy and speed of wisdom. And to help us explore more deeply today, I'm honored to reintroduce our motivating and inspiring moderator, Sandra J. Horton. Sandra is an award-winning leadership and change strategist, a certified emotional intelligence practitioner, and the global member chair of the Global AI Council, a nonprofit committed to humanizing AI and advancing AI for good. She brings a unique blend of strategic insight and heart-centered leadership, helping leaders around the world turn complexity into clarity and change into opportunity. She is the founder of Active Success Edge, where she supports purpose-driven leaders to navigate and complexity with clarity and courage. Sandra is also the host of Leadership Heart podcast and creator of Growth Catalyst for Women Leaders, a global initiative empowering women to lead with confidence and compassion in the AI era. Please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to our moderator, Sandra J. Horton.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Raise the hands. Let's go. Let's bring some wonderful energy. Thanks again, Ibrahim, for this warm introduction. Today, everyone, we are not here to fear AI, but we are here to face it, to use it, and to lead through it. The goal is to reduce that fear and anxiety. Truly, this summit is about turning anxiety into awareness and fear into fuel for growth. Take that in. Together today, we are going to explore how to navigate that unknown with clarity and courage and consciousness. I would like to thank first our sponsors, who without them, we would not be here. So please give a warm welcome and a heartfelt acceptance to our global partners. Just a few little lists here. Number one, the American Association of Wellness and Human Potential, USA. Dynamic Coaching Consultancy out of Malaysia. We Grow Together and MAM Coaching out of Saudi Arabia. Prithi Lux Wellness out of Mauritius. Birdie Coaching out of South Africa. NeuroX Pro out of Russia. WWO, which is the World Women Organization, and Youth in Africa, Kenya. So, as we move forward today, and we have our opening panel in our discussions, they will be led by expert coaches from around the globe. There are 6 core themes. I always like to know what I'm going into. So here are the 6 themes. AI versus human intelligence, jobs and economy, identity and purpose, mental health, future, the vision, the ethics, the mindset, the transformation. Each speaker has immense contributions today. So much value. So please open your mind, have a piece of paper because you're going to want to take some notes, and each coach will share around 3 minutes each as they go through these different questions. I will be guiding the flow and connecting these insights together. And as we move forward, you will see at the end, we will open this up and to have the audience with their questions and answers. And we will close with Ibrahim again with some interactive questions and reflections. We always start at the beginning and we look at the end. Where are you today and where are you at the end of this? What change, what opportunities, what possibilities have you brought into your life? What shift have you made? Because it's potential now to do so easily. So without any further ado, Arafat, can you please play our first opening video? And then I'm going to invite up Vangelis to do a short speech about the AI and evolution. Thank you.
In a world driven by innovation, a silent revolution is underway, the birth of artificial intelligence. Beginning in the 1950s, visionaries like Alan Turing dared to dream of creating machines that could think like humans. John McCarthy coined the term artificial intelligence and established AI as a formal research field. Marvin Minsky made significant contributions to the study of perception, learning, and reasoning in AI. Alan Newell and Herbert A. Simon developed the Logic Theorist program, which allowed machines to demonstrate the potential of their problem-solving capabilities. Arthur Samuel created the first computer program that could play checkers at a competitive level by learning from its own experiences. The history of AI is still being written, with each passing day bringing us closer to a future where human and artificial intelligence thrive together, shaping a destiny of endless possibilities and ethical dilemmas.
Wow. Whew. I don't know about you, but I got goosebumps. I just felt that video. And there's no one better than our very first speaker, Vangelis Kaloyiru. Vangelis serves as the head of AI transformation and integration for large financial service firms, Fortune 500s, partnering with leaders, integrating AI into their products, their services, and their internal operations. Vangelis has been a consultant for NVIDIA, say that twice, and Cisco, helping companies integrate AI into their organization. With over 20 years of field experience teaching computers to interact with humans, Vangelis speaks the language of technology supporting AI. Instead of downsizing, Vangelis is helping companies invest in AI tools to boost productivity and increase performance and enhance interdepartmental communication across all levels of the organization, including an executive workshop called Demystify AI. Wow. Perfectly aligned for this opening segment, Vangelis merges technology and science and spirituality and biology into the realm of AI. Vangelis, over to you to set the stage for us as we begin today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I just want to provide a perspective. Artificial intelligence is not a single product or application. It's basically an evolving, constantly changing ecosystem that requires multiple technologies working together seamlessly. And I want to just give you a scenario so you can see what it looks like before AI and after AI. I want you to think of a scenario where you're in school and the teacher gives you assignment, do a report, and you need to go to the library. Now, remember, before AI and the internet, there was this place called the library, and public, school, or home. And before the internet, we usually had to walk, ride a bike, get some type of transportation. And what we had available at this library were books, encyclopedias, magazines, periodicals, microfiche, and newspapers. And some of the things that you think about in doing a report, well, one of the parameters is called time. And you have to think of how easy is it and how accessible is the information? Where is the information located? What if I don't have transportation? What if the information is limited? No encyclopedias, no magazines. Or maybe it's only open Monday through Friday. So you look at the aspect of time in that respect. Another aspect or parameter is the volume of information. And part of the quality of your report is determined by the amount of information, the variety of information, the quality that you have available for your research. And the teacher would give you specific instructions. Do not copy the information from any source and write the report using your own words. I remember that all the time. Don't go to the encyclopedia and just copy. All right. Now, the other part of the quality of the report is based on our ability to assimilate, apply, comprehend, and articulate the relevancy of the information we have to our audience. Now, let's go back to the same scenario and let's look at it after AI is available. You go to your AI search engine like ChatGPT or Jasper or Gemini. Now, let's go back to the time element of this. Now I have information available on my computer and my phone. You don't have to go anywhere. So what has AI done? It's collapsed time. And the source of information, oh my gosh, now you have access to millions of publications and documentation. So AI has increased the amount of information available. Now the teacher still gives the same instructions. Don't copy and use your own words. So what has AI done? Collapse time and increase the access to the information. But I still have to put it into my own words. And remember, the other part of that quality is my ability to assimilate, apply, comprehend, and articulate the relevancy to my audience. So it's the same requirements. Now, how could you describe or define one aspect of AI from that scenario? Well, could the encyclopedia books in the library write your report for you? Absolutely. And could AI write your report for you? Absolutely. So you get the same thing from both the encyclopedia or AI. Now, why did the teacher give you specific instructions? Don't copy and write it in your own words. Because whether it's before AI or after AI, your teacher wants you to think for yourself, learn how to express yourself, and realize you have the ability to apply what you read and articulate and make that information relevant. So someone could say, as soon as those libraries were built, children stopped thinking for themselves. I'm sure that happened. And what is the real fear of the library anyway? Boy, people can get anything in that library. So as soon as the internet was built and the AI was built, they said the same thing. AI is just a library that is faster, easier to access, and has more information. So what exactly is the fear? Thank you.
Powerful. Thank you, Evangelist. Doesn't that start you thinking? No matter where you are in your understanding of AI, powerful. So thank you for getting us going. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that energy, take that perspective, and we're going to begin our questions. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to introduce our panelists, and then I'm going to pose a question, and we're going to dig into this question. Some questions may be very large, big questions and behemoths to take on. Others may be very nuanced and very specific. So come on this journey, and it's going to be exciting. So our very first question, big question, AI versus human intelligence. Wow. AI is powerful. It recognizes patterns, but yet it lacks context, emotions, and moral reasoning. These amazing guests, these amazing speakers are the top tier. Let me go through some of these. This is an incredible panel. Hemant Jan. Hemant helps mid and senior management professionals with their next big move. A life and career transformation coach and a leadership facilitator. He is not only a soft skills trainer, but a keynote speaker and published author and change management consultant. Very relatable. It's what I do as well. And he has over 2 decades of global experience across diverse industries. He's well positioned to take on these questions. Dr. Larry Davies. Dr. Larry has an EDD, in educational leadership from St. Thomas University in Miami, Florida, in the US. He has over 35 years of rich experience in educational leadership, intercultural communication, 21st century leadership, and curriculum and instructional design in higher education. He's lived and worked in France and Japan, Kenya, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, and also in his home country. Wow. That's a lot of traveling, a lot of learned lessons. And he's been an executive coach. He works on balance as well as an educational consultant to help clients navigate complex challenges and achieving their goals. And importantly, his most recent interests and writings concern the global impact of artificial intelligence as it pertains to corporate leadership, organizational culture, and collaboration in teams. And our last panelist, but not least by any means, is Nigel Smart. Nigel is a serial entrepreneur that has a successful career as a scientist. Very cool. For more than 30 years, making significant contributions in the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industry in both corporate and consulting coaching roles. He is a successful author with several best-selling books and is a keynote speaker and is an advocate for leadership and high performance in both in your personal lives and in business. He promotes the concept of powerhouse performance and uses creative ideas to push the envelope to imagine and generate new thinking concepts that increase performance outcomes. So we are well positioned for this very first question. And as we go through this, I'm going to invite these panelists to really dig in and prompt. Let's go deep. And we've got about 3 minutes each to kind of really start to unpack this. So let's begin with this. Outsourcing. Here's the question. Are we outsourcing too much of our own thinking to machines? That's where we're going to start. Let's dig in. Who wants to jump in first? How about Dr. Larry? Dr. Larry, what are your thoughts on this? Open us up. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you, Sandra, and of course, Ibrahim for your opening, and Evangelise and Arafat for putting this all together. I always come from, and I'm going to answer 3 questions. I come from like the diffusion of innovation, where we talk about 5 groups of people, and I'm referring to them here. We always have the innovators, and as you've seen from the video, artificial intelligence is not, 2 or 3 years old. It's 50 years old, and it's evolved now to this constellation of other things. So we're well past the innovator stage. Next come the early adapters. And the early adapters for me are the most important group because they're the ones who understand what the innovators are doing. Being an innovator is kind of a lonely thing. So you get the early adapters. Now I think we're in the era of the early and late majority in the use of AI and things that are coming in here. And the last group is the laggards. And I come from academia, as you've heard, and I'm always complaining that most universities are laggard institutions. They don't like it when I say that. But what I think in terms of outsourcing, a lot of people, and again, my perspective is from the university. The university people are pushing back at AI because they fear for their jobs. And basically what I think is AI, as far as thinking goes, first of all, if people understand that it's largely language models, and really AI at this point is just guessing based on language patterns and a biased input of information, people think that things are going to be taken over in this way. But you can outsource certain things, and it's up to leadership to understand that it's okay to outsource mathematical equations and all of these kind of things. AI can do that much faster than humans. But what we know, of course, and what we've already hinted at is there's not a lot of creativity or critical thinking that AI can do, because again, it's just looking for patterns into output patterns. And let me just finish this one by saying that Of course, I've been using AI extensively. I use ChatGPT, and now I'm using, sorry, I can't think of the one, Gemini. I use Gemini a lot. And what I found with these two is if it doesn't really know how to answer, it will make up something because it needs to respond. So people still need to check any kind of AI output that they're using. So let me stop there. And just to summarize, you can outsource mathematical things, but the critical thinking, creative thinking is never going to be able to be outsourced.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for opening that. And I love this structure, and it gets us thinking again. The AI, it's a global concept, but it's been here for 50 years. It's just the evolution and what we're seeing now. So it's wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Larry. That really sets the tone. So Nigel or Hemant, who would like to jump in next and add to that? What are your thoughts and feelings about outsourcing? Because there's a lot in this as well. So I'm going to allow you to open it up. Who would like to take the floor?
Yeah, I'll jump
Perfect,
in.
Nigel. Thank you.
I'll jump in, Sandra. I always see things. I'm going to join in and jump in behind what Dr. Davies has just said and Vangelis. I always try to promote this concept of what I'm calling cooperative intelligence. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about the human agency, the genius, the creative, the curiosity that is unique to us as human agents. But what is it that we're expecting from AI? AI is just something which is fantastic in picking up what I will call the boring parts of what we do. What did we used to do, as Evangelist said, before we had AI, before we had computers, we actually had to think. And the interesting thing about us, which is the interesting part of what I'm calling cooperative intelligence, is that's the curiosity part, that's the thinking part, that's the creative side, that's the critical thinking. AI doesn't critically think. It processes, it looks at pattern analysis, and it does that fantastically well. Much, much better than we can. So we need to enthusiastically understand what our role is in this journey that we're going to be on, recognizing that this thing is going to be accelerating even faster and faster as we get better and better chips. So why don't we take advantage of the fact that we've got this wonderful technology now, which actually makes us look even more genius, almost like godlike, because we have the not infinite capability to come up and take every thought that we had and innovate it to its elastic limit, so to speak. We're living in what we call today a VUCA environment. And what do I mean by VUCA environment? It's a volatile, it's an exponentially expanding level of volatility. It's uncertain. You mentioned, and we're going to talk about, is AI going to impact our jobs and how we function in society? Out of nature now, it's chaotic. People are worried about, are we going to have a future? Is machines going to take over? Is 1984 really going to take over and become a reality? And as a result, everything is ambiguous. The way we get around this is we need to understand, as Vangelis said, what our role is in utilizing AI, and we need to take it on, head on, fearlessly, become a warrior. That's what we do in industry, and that's what I always get our clients to face. Take this on head on. Don't be scared. Switch your belief, and you're going to be fine. And I'll stop there.
Woohoo! All right. You know what? I don't know about all of you, but I'm elevated. Thank you so much for bringing the passion and the purpose. That is awesome. What a great way to, again, all of you beginning this first question. What? This is going to be fire. I'm very excited. So Coach Hemant, let's take it again. Let's keep driving this, keep talking about this, because not only about the curiosity, but about roles, about, living in this chaotic world. What do we outsource and what don't we outsource? And then we'll get into jobs in just a few moments. And I know you'll be, again, kind of moving into that conversation piece with me. What are your thoughts? Where do you want to take this now? Because this is pretty powerful. Thank you.
Right. So, hi everybody. Coming after Larry and Nigel, it's a tough. It's tough to follow up with them. But yes, let me try and we talked about outsourcing of our thinking, and it's not new. With calculators, with Excel sheets, we have already been outsourcing a bulk of our repetitive thinking. We have been outsourcing our memory. I mean, growing up as a child, I used to remember the phone numbers of pretty much at least 60 to 80 of our relatives and all my 50 friends. Now, I remember my wife's first phone number, and if I got her another phone, I would have difficulty remembering that, right? We meet people, we save their number, and we have not seen their phone number at all. Forget remembering it. So we are getting handicapped in a way because we are being augmented by technology. The same thing is happening with AI. We are outsourcing a little more thinking. And the good part about AI, as Nigel and Larry have said, it that it can process a vast amount of data which is already there and give some quick answers. That's not the problem. The problem starts when we start outsourcing judgment and we start outsourcing the responsibility plus accountability of decisions. So HR in an organization can take 100 CVs, put it into an AI engine, and ask which would be the best candidate. And the system would recommend, let's say, top 3. And then the HR focuses on the top 3, interviews them, recruits one of them. The person gets into the organization and creates a disaster. And at the end of the review cycle, HR says, but the AI said so. We are heading into that kind of a situation where decisions are being handed over to AI. People are talking about strategy being generated by AI. And it's not that I got inputs from AI and now I'll create a strategy. Hey, I got the strategy from AI. It's a dangerous place to be in because we are not only outsourcing part of the thinking, we are taking that output and deeming it final. So we, in some cases, and unfortunately it's increasing, we are taking the AI output as final and we are stopping to think. And that's a very dangerous place to be in because, I mean, I see my kids, I mean, they have got AI being taught to them in schools now. Grade 6, they've got it. My younger one sitting right besides me doing his homework in grade 2, he's going to have from next year. He's being taught GPT, teachers are being taught to them. And for them, they have a question, let's ask ChatGPT, get the answer, write it down in the notebook, and that's done. That's what I fear. Stopping to think. And Nigel and Larry mentioned hallucination. Yes, even OpenAI admits that there is about 20%, 30% hallucination in the models, and it will cook up something and give it to you. There is another problem which most AI companies are not talking about, and that is amnesia. Humans have been suffering from amnesia for a long time. AI also suffers from it. You feed it 3 documents and then start asking questions about it. It's great. It starts giving you answers and all. But after 10, 15 questions, it begins to forget parts of the document. And it starts missing out key information in not just telling you, but also in its own thinking process. So the responses it is giving you is without some of the information, which can be very crucial. So the human thinking has to follow after that. And of course, again, we have talked about curiosity, we have talked about creativity. Those are core human skills. What is getting outsourced to the AI is image creation, video creation, which is again bringing together patterns and pattern recognition, but real creativity still lies with humans. And I hope humans have a firm hold on it and don't give it away. I remember this was 2 years ago when I read this classic quote in one of the newspapers that what I wanted to happen is that my AI and my robot should take care of my cleaning, dishwashing, and I should be writing poetry and painting But unfortunately, the reverse is happening. I'll leave it at that.
So true. And thank you to each of our panelists. One of the things that's percolating for me in this moment is the importance of understanding the line between delegation and abdication, and understanding how do we preserve our human ability to think critically, with creativity, ethically, and with curiosity. And this is wonderful because it's setting the stage. And what does that do to us when we look at jobs in our coaching, our economy? Because it's how we look at these things. It's what are we willing to then, with the roles and the responsibilities, allocate to AI, and what do we keep as our humanness? So let's shift a little bit. We're going to keep moving. Thank you again, panelists, for setting us up to really start to get us to consider what are these things? What is happening with us? And what do we need to look at now to reduce that fear when it comes now to the jobs, coaching, economy? We're going to kind of shift over a little bit. I'm going to invite a few more panelists after this next video. Over to you, Arafat.
Are we prepared for a future where millions of jobs vanish by 2030 due to artificial intelligence? Bill Gates warns that AI is set to disrupt every industry in ways we've never seen before. He highlights Mustafa Suleyman's book, The Coming Wave, which predicts that by 2030, millions of jobs will vanish as AI automates nearly half of all work activities. From offices to factories, no sector will be untouched. The challenge? Adapting before it's too late. While AI brings efficiency and innovation, it also demands new skills and a massive workforce shift. Are we ready for this revolution, or will we be left behind? Are we?
Another good probing questions. What are you taking in? What are you writing on that piece of paper right now? How did that land for you? And we're going to break down this segment of our question into 3 different areas. And again, this is one of those larger areas that we could spend a lot of time all day on, but we're going to segment it into 3 different areas. And within the first question, I want to introduce first is Calvin Cheng. Calvin is an amazing panelist for us. He comes from Malaysia, and Calvin is the director of the Whole Mind Growth Services, emotional wellness coaching. He centers on the latest technology in emotional analysis, which is empowered by AI and big data. And he translates your voice into a roadmap for wellness. So I would like to invite Calvin and I'd like to Hemant to please, let's dive into this. Let's look at what jobs. So understanding what we've just said, a lot of this chaos, we have to differentiate what we're going to allocate and release to AI, what we're going to keep, because we're aware of these hallucinations, the amnesia, all of these things, the need for critical thinking. What jobs, what areas are going to be at that highest risk? And which do you think may grow because of AI? So let's start with Calvin. Calvin, what are your thoughts on this? This is an important first juncture into looking at the impact on jobs.
I think it's a very interesting question here, Sandra. I think first of all, as shared by most of the panel just now, most of the repetitive jobs, predictable jobs, role-based jobs, for example, like data entry, basic customer support, transcription related jobs, even certain administrative functions of job, those will be at risk. Even sometimes tasks within jobs like in creative or managerial roles, repetitive parts like job scheduling, summarizing reports, even some basic research may be automated. So changing the nature of work, even if the job title stays. While at the same time, those jobs most likely to grow, I think all of us are fully aware today, it's happening today, it's growing like mushroom. Today we have a lot of AI trainers, right, out there. We have prompt engineers, we have data ethicists, we have human AI interactions specialists. Those jobs that inquire or ensure AIs stay aligned with human values. How about other jobs, for example, like those human-related roles of job, like leadership development, dealing with humans, right? Dealing with feelings, emotions, human resources, business partner, those roles that focus on empathy, I would say, ethics, and trust. How about those roles that require creativity and strategic thinking? Innovators, storytellers, strategists, those areas where human insight still outperform algorithms. Now, today I'm in the emotion and wellness coach, care and well-being roles, like myself, mental health professionals, wellness coaches, organizations, psychologists. Because as AI takes over more work, the emotional and psychological support, I think, will become more even critical, right? Especially we are going through VUCA, a lot of changes. We are talking about resiliency. Today, I, as an emotional and mental wellness coach, I'm using AI. There's an assessment tool that empowered by AI, big data, machine learning, analyzes my clients' voice frequency and translate them into different aspects of health, physical health, emotional health, mental health, social health, even spiritual health. So that helps me as a coach to build a foundation for the conversation to take place and to help my clients to increase their level of self-awareness. Now, if I may ask everyone in the room here, how often, whenever you ask anybody, it could be friends or strangers, how are you feeling today? Most of the answer you're getting is, yes, I'm good. You may raise up your hand. How frequent that you are getting answer, they are telling you, yes, I'm feeling down today, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad. These are very common that we are seeing today. So with this technology that empowered by AI, that helped me as a coach to bring this awareness for my clients.
Wow, that is fascinating. And I'm sure there's a whole other conversation about the voice translation and all those different pieces. So I look forward to learning a little bit more about that aspect. I think that's an incredible work that you're undertaking. And Hemant, what are your thoughts in adding to this? Because we're talking about the need for trust and empathy and those types of jobs, working alongside AI. And the new specialist role, what are your thoughts in terms of what does it look like? What is the potential new roles that may actually be coming?
Right. I'll take on from something which Kevin said, that people ask, how are you? And it's been almost a decade and a half that when somebody asks me, how are you? I say fantastic. And it takes people aback. Like people like, what? I mean, nobody's fantastic. How are you fantastic? And that's a great conversation starter. Over the last 2-3 years, ever since AI came out, my question slightly changed. My answer slightly changed. I say, I'm fantastic and keeping life interesting. And that becomes a conversation. What? I should keep doing new things. I was a consultant, became a coach, and now I'm working with startups. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm exploring AI, I'm exploring biotech and health and longevity. And they said, you're doing too many things. I said, I just realized I'm going to live till 100 years, so I'm exploring my life now. Right?
I love that.
Now imagine thinking like this in the backdrop of this AI onslaught where people think they are going to lose jobs. And 2 years ago, I was working with a startup which was creating an AI chatbot for teens, and they did a survey. Thousands of teens responded to that survey, and the question was only one: do you think AI is going to take your jobs away? 97% teens responded with a yes. And then, which actually got us worried. We were not expecting that high a number. And then we did a session for them to kind of calm them down and so on. But that's the reality. Now, Kelvin has already said that anything which is repetitive, transactional will start getting automated and AI will take over the jobs. But this is what brings us to the dissection of a job. Every job will have its routine, mechanical things to be done. That is what will get automated. That is where AI will take over, because there is a clear-cut rule-based structure, flow, logic that can execute the job. Even if there is variability, AI now can do it, right? But there is always a meaning layer that creates meaning, that creates insights. You read a document and you understand the meaning and you create insight. At least in the near future, I would say, as long as AI is not able to create that insight and meaning out of it, and real insight and meaning. Today, you give a document, AI will give you insights, but real insights, that part of the job can still be held by humans. And here's an interesting thing. Whenever jobs are being in the history, whenever jobs have been lost to either the wheel or machinery or computers, humans had to evolve and become better at doing something more meaningful, something more insightful, something more creative. Their own curiosity had to come up and take them higher. And AI is just force us to do that. We will have to get
Yes.
better, right? We can go back to our survival of the fittest, theory of evolution. This is evolution for humans. We are creating something
Yes.
for probably the first time. We've created something which will force us to evolve. And that's going to be an interesting thing. A couple of days ago, we were discussing about AI and jobs being lost and so on. And one of the wise old man in our group, I mean, not really a wise old man, he's just same age, but little more experience of life. He said, you know, there has always been a job which was never a job, that was held by the wise people in the society, and that was the philosopher, the guy who would talk wisdom, the person who would talk about life, the person who would talk about humanity and where humanity was heading. It was never transactional, it was never business, it was never existential. Oh, I mean, it was existential, but it was not about your daily run life. So the philosopher's role will not be taken over by AI. And I would like to leave that.
And you know what, Coach Hemant, one of the things that we talked about yesterday was the philosopher or the conductor. It's interesting. And we'll come back to that whole concept about who is that conductor and us getting in and being that conductor. And I want to bring in some of our other fellow panelists to kind of shift a little bit about. So what I'm hearing is the need, understanding repetitive, yes, transactional, that would be outsourced roles, etc., to the AI. What about when we start, do we start training now? So I'm going to call in Dr. Larry and Calvin and Hemant to kind of quickly jump on this little piece, maybe 1 minute each, about should we start training, like in the work that we're doing right now with corporations, should we actually start training for new roles and etc. So Calvin, why don't you take the lead first on this?
Yeah, sure. I think yes, absolutely. I think history shows us every major revolution rewards early adopters, right? And those who waited until disruption has ended or often struggle to catch up. Now, question is how? So how do we train to prepare for future? I strongly believe the first key thing is to build learning agility. Learn how to learn new things and embrace curiosity and experiment things. I think it's kind of fun. I use a lot of AI tools, especially ChatGPT. So I do a lot of experiment. I also tested the emotions of AI as well sometimes, right? So it's very interesting to see that. When it comes to VOCA, yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of unknown changes. I think strengthen the emotional and mental resilience is a key for a lot of people. Yeah, be it whether it's your leaders, your professionals, how to stay calm, how to stay focused and open to change. And now we are not only talking about repeated tasks, right? So once AI took over those repeated tasks, it's even more crucial when it comes to our critical thinking, our system thinking, our problem solving, our creativity, our collaboration. I think one of the panel mentioned about collaborations, right? So this transcends specific tools and help us to stay relevant even as technologies evolves. So in a nutshell, have a lot of fun and experiment.
I love that. I love that. Have fun and experiment. And I wanted to invite another great one of our panelists up to this conversation as well, because it really blends into, how to thrive in this area. I'm going to come back and forth a little bit about this jobs. And I want to invite the esteemed and amazing Dorcas to our panel today. And Dorcas Basodi Frank is from Nigeria. And Dorcas, I just want to make sure that you're able to come on in. And Dorcas is popularly called Madame Virtue. She's an award-winning and highly sought-after thought leader in the personal development and educational niches in Nigeria. She's also a best-selling author, and she's founded the Dorcas Virtue Foundation, an NGO for empowering women and youth. And thank you for that great work that you are doing. So in adding to this, I'll come back to you, Dorcas, in just one moment. One of the key things that I'm hearing is the importance of emotional intelligence, but the resilience, working alongside and starting the training for individuals that we're working with. I want to come back to Dr. Larry before we go to Dorcas around what are your thoughts on what we've heard? Should we still be doing a little bit more training? Because what areas should we actually be doing even more training? We're hearing some areas we can look at, but what from your experience have you found to be the most effective new ways to train, or what areas to train?
So thank you for the question. I kind of want to focus, if it's okay, if you can indulge me, on a job that exists today that did not exist about 3 or 4 years ago, and that Kelvin did mention very briefly in all the types of jobs, and that is the prompt engineer and prompt engineering. What I found in the past 2 years is that, and I think Vangelis talked a little bit about the collaborative aspect of working with AI. And prompt engineers right now, this is a kind of an emerging job where you learn to talk to the AI in a way that you get the type of output that you want. So I'm going to keep it really short and share one secret to prompt engineering that I do all the time that I think is going to lead into the future for the general idea of a prompt engineer into several different types of prompt engineers. And these are some new jobs that are going to be coming up that we can train for today. Whenever I'm working with the AI, I always end, I'll give it a command like, help me to outline 5 main points about ABCD. But then at the end of that prompt, I will say, and before you give me output, please ask me any other questions that will help you understand the context of what I want. And what the AI will do then is it will give a list of several very detailed questions that I hadn't thought of, which I thought is good. And then I will very slowly go through each of those questions that the AI asks me, and I will give as much detail as possible. I found that this little tiny piece of prompt engineering really helps in the type of output that I get. And again, I use Gemini a lot more now than I use ChatGPT. And again, there's a whole bunch of other things out there. But I think in terms of getting the most out of AI and the collaborative relationship, you need to learn how to talk to it. And I'll just go back again to say, and I'm probably going to say this again for the other question, is be careful, because if AI can't really figure it out, it's going to give you some kind of output anyway that might not be true. So part of prompt engineering is the ability, again, to critically think about the output you're getting from the AI and research. You kind of have to know how to research. Someone mentioned learning to learn, which I've been talking about a very long time. And this is a very, very important skill that is going to be needed for many future jobs. So get people interacting with the AIs, and it might even be good to have people working together as they're going through the prompts, because my understanding is good prompt engineers now are making pretty good salaries, like $250,000, $300,000. And we're just at the beginning of that. So again, I think, and just to conclude here, that this kind of specialized engineering, and it is engineering, will become an extremely valuable job for most companies in the future.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Larry. And I think that's the key. I know one of the lessons I always put in is, what am I missing right now? And it gets the ChatGPT as an example. It makes itself rethink, because there is that inherent bias to give a positive outcome. And so we'll talk a little bit more about biases and things in a little bit later. But I think for whoever's listening at this moment, in this now live or in the recordings, this is a golden ticket. This is an opportunity for all of us, future generations, to get into this world and really understand the future of prompt engineering. And talking about that, there is a positivity, there's an opportunity with this change. We've heard it from Vangelis all the way through here. I want to bring in Dorcas to kind of guide us into, is AI actually creating more jobs than it is removing, deleting? I don't like the word killing, but it's eliminating is perhaps a better word. Or is that just a myth? So over to you, Dorcas. Thanks again for joining. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Thank you. Oh, we're still on mute. It's okay. All is well. You're now the co-host, so you should be able to come off of mute now. Try again. There we are. Technology, we love it. Thanks, Erifa.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sarah. And good afternoon here in Nigeria. And thanks for having me. Well, every revolution always comes with a shift and a change. Though we are human, some of us are very conservatives, and we are used to a system of doing things, and you don't want to change. But the truth is, when there's a revolution, something will die, something will go, and there'll be new births of new ideas and new opportunity. So we must open up our mind to receive it. There was an era of typewriter. It's no longer valid. When electricity came, new job came in and other things went off the market. When the internet came, some job went off and some new job came in. Now we have social media manager, we have app developer, we have coaches online. Then you could have programs that, you know what it is to have a program online, a live program. You have to bring in people, rent spaces, and the people traveling, booking flights, hotels. Now we can have this program comfortably, just with a little data, and you make more profits. So we just have to open up our mind that it will kill some job and it will create some job. But you know what? We must prepare ourselves for it. If you don't prepare for it, I remember a story I once had of a mechanic that was a specialist in a particular brand. And a new car came in, and he couldn't just upskill himself to learn the new vehicle coming in. And then what happened? He was out of job. He has to go into farming, which was not what he prepared for, which ordinary simple retraining, simple upscaling, little courses here and there will have made him at the top. But he was agile because he was not ready to open up himself to the new change. So the truth is that AI has come to stay, either you like it or not. So if you refuse to embrace it, it will edge you out of the market. And then with little, that's just the truth. But with little upscaling, little training here and there, you become a need that men are sorting after. And then you can name your price. That's what I can say.
I love that. And the essential piece here for everyone, and what I'm already gathering from this, from yesterday and today, it's the openness. It's the openness to look at new things, to do new things, to try new things, versus being perhaps stuck in that old way of beingness.
Yeah.
And so we are seeing that diversity across different industries, different jobs, different ways of being. And I'm going to come back now to our esteemed Hemant, just to bring in, are there any other jobs in your mind that are, you know, perhaps new opportunities? And then we'll move over into more of an essential piece, which is us as individuals with our identity and our purpose and human worth. Because what we just heard from Dorcas is that, you know, you may go into one area, but you have to be open to upskill, to do things differently because of these changes, of these opportunities. So I want to come back just though to honor quickly Dr. Coach Hemant, quickly about your thoughts on this area. So over to you, my friend.
Okay, so I started my engineering back in 1996. And before I took the decision to do my engineering, if someone would have told me that, you know, you should become a cloud architect or a social media strategist, it wouldn't have made sense because the jobs did not exist. The entire platforms or the industry in which those jobs were created did not exist, right? Such is the state of AI. How do we even prepare for the jobs of the future when probably the areas in which those jobs will appear will not exist or do not exist now? Dr. Larry talked about prompt engineering, and I'd love to have this conversation because over the last 2 years, a lot has been written about and a lot has been said about this emerging new job of prompt engineering. And rightly said, today, prompt engineers are getting paid a lot. My personal opinion is prompt engineering will disappear very, very soon. Imagine we have created an AI engine, which is so intelligent it can answer all our questions. Am I now supposed to believe that unless I ask a question in a very particular fashion, having understood prompt engineering, it won't give me an answer? That's not going to happen. And exactly what Larry said, that at the end of his question, he adds a simple sentence: ask me questions before you answer them. And that's the end of prompt engineering. That's all that is required by the AI engine. It should be able to ask you the questions to understand not only the question, the context, which is extremely important. All of us have talked about it in various forms and all, that the context of the question is always important. It needs to ask us questions to understand the context and any other additional information it can think of and we cannot. Once it has responses to all of that, it will be able to give us the correct, acceptable answer, right? And that's where I say the end of prompt engineering, the hottest job in the market now. Now, if I am removing prompt engineering as a job from the table, what is there left? Today, there are, I mean, a few years ago, we were talking about data scientists, we were talking about cloud, big data, and so on. And all of it is kind of disappearing. So we will be in a very fast evolving job market. We touched upon VUCA in this, like volatile, ambiguous, and all those things, right? VUCA will just intensify. It's not gone. I mean, consultants have been saying, oh, VUCA is gone. We have got some other terminology now. But I'm just saying VUCA will remain. It will intensify, and the effects will be manifold. So what is required is not thinking about what the future jobs will be or what should I prepare for, but how do you become future-proof, right? And this has to take us back to those basic core human skills. The skills to ask the right question. The skill to define a problem properly. I mean, 20 years ago when I joined consulting, these two were the things which were told to me. How do you solve a problem?
Coach Hemant, I'm just going to just interject there because I think this is going to lead us right into the next segment. So I want to kind of hold space there. And I think you've done a wonderful job of just bringing this all forward and in. And Dorcas, will come back to you as we go into this next segment as well, because this really is about, isn't it, our own identity, knowing ourselves and being future proof. I love that. And with emotional intelligence, with agility. And so what where do we start? Well, we have to start with understanding ourselves, don't we? And I want to invite another esteemed panelist to this discussion around identity, purpose, and human worth. So this is all beautifully working together. So thanks everyone for working collaboratively on this panel as well and going with this flow. So if you'll give me just one moment, I want to bring up one of our esteemed panelists, someone who I've had the great joy of having on the Leadership Heart podcast, and Alessandro Carli from Italy. Alessandro has been involved in personal and professional growth since the 1990s and has been coaching and training hundreds of people. He's helped them dramatically improve their effectiveness and achieve great results in both life and business endeavors, and has started getting more and more involved in the study of systems dynamics, which is in turn related to the so-called systems intelligence, the development of a higher level of thinking, and therefore of relating oneself to the reality we all live and operate in. And as someone who's trained in systems thinking, this is the right mix. So on this conversation, I am super excited to kind of delve into the whole purpose. So Alessandro, Nigel, and Dorcas, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into, can purpose and passion truly survive in this AI-driven world? We're hearing the need for it, but what are your thoughts? So Alessandro, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Nigel and then Dorcas. So Alessandro, what are your thoughts?
Thanks. Well,
hello,
good evening, everyone. Good evening. Well, it was really interesting listening to all these people until now. Well, getting to that question that you're asking, if purpose and passion can survive in an AI-driven world, well, you know, AI has no power that we humans won't give it. It's as simple as that. So I wouldn't say if, how could AI prevent us from having that purpose and passion? Okay, perhaps. Well, the only danger that I see here, the only risk that I see, is our laziness. Okay, so when we have instruments, when we have tools that make things easier for us, then we're going to tend to want to let them do it. Okay, now that's not bad in itself, but the fact is that we're going to grow much lazier as we go on. For example, today we know that our kids that go to school and use all these tools, that they are lazier. They if they have to make a research on their own, a search on their own, or a project or whatever, they're having a hard time, or they have to outsource it to an AI. That is the only risk, because if we get lazy, then we will become dependent on AI. So I don't see AI as a threat, but it's just about us. AI has nothing to do with all of this. Directly, it is not a threat whatsoever. We must consider that we live in a multi-layered reality here, and I'm going into the systemic question about this, you know. And as long as, well, not as long, that's exactly what's going to happen, and it's going to stay that way, I believe, that, you know, the first layer is the material physical part, okay, the technical part, the operational part, that can be the kingdom of AI. And I don't mind. It's okay. Because if they can help us do the things that we have to do and spend most of the time doing, it makes no sense for us to go in and challenge the AI, or even go on a feud with AI. It makes no sense. That would be the greatest thing that could happen to us. Okay, but when it comes to emotions, when it comes to thinking, and now there are two types of thinking. There are, of course, the thinking about the operational thing, and that, you know, the material part, which AI can do very well on its own, and it's not risky. But then there's a type of thinking that is more like about discernment, about the philosophical kind of thinking. And I remember who said that. I think Larry or somebody else who said that we will never get there. We can be we can be comfortable with that. It's not going to happen. And imagine when we go into spiritual things. So emotions will not, is something that they cannot do, because in order for them to feel emotions, they would have to have a biological apparatus. Otherwise, they cannot feel emotions. And so they can they can simulate emotions. I remember what was said, what Brian Fippinger said yesterday about that unfortunate teenager who committed suicide because of a sentence that's said by the VA counselor in a wrong way. Now we can teach him to do better. We can teach it to do better, to teach it to be more empathetic, but it will never feel that. That is the difference. And that is why I don't see how this can be done in how can this be applied, for example, to counseling or psychology? Because you need to be a human to understand what goes on in the other person's mind and heart. Otherwise, it's useless. Then we would be useless, and that makes sense. That is somewhere that we shouldn't go.
Yes, yes, I agree, Alessandro.
Purpose is at a very high level, and I'll get back to that perhaps later. It's something else.
Okay. Absolutely, Alessandro. And I just wanted to interject because I want to bring in Nigel into this conversation because I saw Nigel's face going, you had something to contribute.
Absolutely.
Because, because purpose is a human construct, right? So
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Purpose and passion, those are the things in the question here. I see those as trigger words. Purpose gives us direction. Purpose is about values. Purpose is about, as long as we know our minds, it's about mindset and mindset shift and belief systems. So as long as we know our why, our value structure is not going to change. So that's the first trigger word. Passion. Passion is about our creativity. It's our gift, if you will. It cannot be reproduced. I couldn't agree with you more, as Alessandro. This is what drives our free thinking. This is what drives our curiosity. And that's the fuel, the energy of innovation going forward. We have to have this ability to take our purpose and drive that with enthusiasm. And it's that's going to flip the script in our mind. That's going to give us the necessity to act on whatever challenge is in front of us. It's going to enable us to want to pivot. And in the act of pivoting, we're going to be adaptable. And we're going to always be able to charge and head on, bring it on, the warrior mindset. As long as we hit it head on, then we're going to be adaptable. And the adaptability, we all need to imbue this change agent mentality. But we always have to come back to our core. What are our values? And our values are going to be shaped by our why. So I would leave it like that because I know somebody else is going to jump in.
Oh, no, I think that's wonderful. And so I'm going to champion all those who are listening in the audience on a piece of paper now. Write down, do you know what is your why? Do it now. It's powerful. And if you don't, then take the time to go and explore it or reach out, because this is the power of this moment to transform your life. Because if you do, you can take on, as Nigel says, that warrior mindset, that ability to be a change agent, to be able to have that mental capacity and flexibility, the adaptability to look at this. So please take that time now, write it, even if you don't do it now, put it on a piece of paper. And then when you go today, ask yourself and complete on this. It's important to hold this space. I think this is a key moment for this panel. And so I just wanted to kind of stop us for a moment and ground, have a big breath in, everyone, and out. I want all of that to sink in. We have to hold that space for each other because that was powerful. I love it. All right. So as we continue, let's do a little bit of movement, everybody, because this has been good. It's already over an hour and a bit just going forward. And we're going to continue in this area about purpose and human worth and our own identity. And, I want to come back to Dorcas about this. Can purpose and passion survive? And particularly when we start to talk about this unique human characteristics, our traits, the curiosity, things that Nigel was just sharing. Over to you, Dorcas.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. You know, purpose and passions are unique to us. Some of our purpose came from our experiences, and it also defined the contribution we want to make to the society. It also defined our impact. So it's more of a solution based, it's more of contribution based. Machine won't do that. You define it. You know, some of us have had some experiences before that worked for us or that failed for us. We have had some bad experiences and you are able to overcome it. And you're looking at somebody else have this challenge. Can I help? And then from there, we define our purpose. From there, we define our impact. From there, we define our contribution to people around us. So machine can't replace that because we have the experience. We are the one that see the gap, the empathy, you know, the love we have for people, the gaps we saw that others are having that we want to fill, or the transformation we want to bring. So I normally call it my own contribution, my own impact to the society. So machine can't do that. It's our experiences. It's what worked for us. It's what we want to see change or what we want to see happen to people. Some of us have we had had failures before, but we overcame. And I just feel like I can help somebody not to fail again, not to have that experience. So what am I saying? Purpose is unique to us. Machine can't replace that. Machine didn't have that experience. You know, machine didn't see that gap. I'd rather use the machine to help me to achieve what I want to achieve, you know? So I don't think it can replace it. It can only enhance it. It can only help me as a tool to achieve my impact goals, my solution goals, the solution I want to bring to my world, the lives I want to impact and transform. So thank you.
Oh, I love that, Dorcas, and thank you. And, you know, as we wrap up this segment, because we're going to get into the future hype and reality, and Dr. Larry, we will get you on here before you have to leave. So we're on task. We're on pace. So hang on to that piece. And one of the things, going back to what Dorcas just said, work will evolve, truly, but purpose, it may shift us away from tasks to impact. So that's another clarifying, interesting piece here. We're shifting from tasks to impact. So know your why, go within. It starts within to transfer it without. Yes, thank you so much. All right, we're going to shift a little bit now, everyone. And to keep us on this flow, on this great way, again, we just had that big stretch. We're going to do another big stretch, everybody. Move your bodies. Remember, we got to bring up the energy. All right, let's move the body. Because we know to open up our subconscious mind, we have to be in a happy, positive state. So as yesterday, Arafat, we should have had music. But I hope everybody put a smile on your face. Because when you have a smile on your face, you invite in things, you have no anxiety and no fear. So smile, breathe deeply, and let's continue on about, perhaps for some, this may be a little triggering. So I want everyone to know, this is a psychologically safe space. There's lots of beautiful coaches here. If you need any supports or others as we get into the future, responsibilities, decision-making, we get into a little bit more deeper areas that risks attached, it can be somewhat triggering. So please know we're all here to support you. So I wanted to make sure everyone knows that is a safe space. All right, so in this conversation, we're going to talk a little bit about the future, the hype, and the reality with Hemant and Dorcas and Dr. Larry. We may have to reduce a little bit of our time on this. So we're going to start with Dr. Larry. So Dr. Larry, what's the most important or most dangerous myth about AI that we need to debunk? We could have started the whole session with this, but we're bringing it into the middle because I think it fits nicely here.
Thank you. I'll try to stay focused on this, but I'm going to start with a little bit of storytelling. Back in 1993, which seems like 5 years ago, but isn't, I was in graduate school, and one of the first things we did is they gave us a little index card and they said, "What is your passion?" So I wrote down the internet and I put it up, and everybody looked at that. They said, the internet, what's that? I said, wait and see. This thing is going to change everything, and everything's going to be great. I was very Pollyannic, if that's the right word. And then about 10 years ago, I taught a graduate course in social media. And I said, here are the big 6 social medias: Facebook, blah, 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 Google, etc. And all these guys are going to change our lives for the better. So not to be negative, but in these days now, AI is the next big revolution, because we're talking about it. It's the same as the internet was back in the 1990s. And unfortunately, Nigel, I think it's Nigel who said, you start with what are our values. And unfortunately, there are some people who don't have, who want to see the world on fire for whatever various reasons, whether it's political or cultural or social, or they're just things like that. So AI isn't going to solve all of our problems, and it's not going to necessarily make the world a hugely great place, because there are people who are going to figure out how to do things like deep fake, which is already here, and things like this, and to spread false information. So for me, I want to, when I work with leaders, I say you need to be really vigilant to make sure all of the people in your organization are also vigilant for this negative side of things. And again, I might even go back to the learning to learn. They need to learn how to learn to look out for whatever false and negative stuff that's out there that could negatively impact their organization and their businesses. So it's a great revolution, and I'm glad it's here, but we also have to be aware there are people out there who want to light a match and burn it all down, and to be very vigilant against that. So my biggest mistake was to be a little too positive about the potential impact of these technologies. So watch your back. I mean, don't go around in fear, but be aware that it's there, and train your people with that same type of awareness.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Larry. And I know you'll have to head out very shortly here, but I think those are powerful contexts. And we're going to dive into, in just a little bit of short period of time, ethics and control and responsibility with Jorge and John and others deeper into this particular area. And I think the key walking away is learning to learn. Like, how do you learn? Processing information, learning to be able to unpack a lot of these pieces. And guess what, everyone? Where does that come from? Eyes go back to ourselves. Do we know ourselves? Do we know our why? See how this is all interrelated? And these are the powerful questions. So going back to Dorcas, what do you feel is the most dangerous myth about AI that we need to debunk?
Okay. Well, the dangerous myth is seeing AI as an enemy. AI is not an enemy. I want us to see it as a tools that will help us to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And we still have the final decision to make. It's not making decision for us. So we'll know where to make use of it. We'll know where to send it errand. You know where to limit the extent to which you want it to be involved. So the decision about the use is ours. So we must determine the impact, the result we want it. So it's not an enemy to us. We should see it. We should see it not as enemy, human and machine. We should see it as human with machine. So when that mindset comes in, it helps us to appreciate its impact and its value than being scared of it as an enemy, and then we are avoiding it. You can't even avoid it, because that means you won't go far. You will struggle. But if you are going to use it as a tool to help you, then you have much more results. Let's just be open. It gives us an advantage over others. In a competitive world, it gives us an advantage. So I want us to debunk that it's not an enemy. It's not a competitor. It's not a rival, but a tool. So let's have a mindset of human and machine, not woman versus machine.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Dorcas. And I'm going to invite two other esteemed coaches into this panel discussion and shifting it just slightly, because I think this is the power of looking beyond just these dangerous myths into the reality. But how do we then thrive in this AI age as tech experts or emotionally intelligent leaders? So I'm going to welcome actually one of our beautiful co-moderators, Ibrahim, in just a moment, and Dr. Mahmoud. So let me just bring up their wonderful bios. So please give me the grace and the space to do so. So I'm going to welcome Dr. Mohammed Rayman. Currently, Dr. Mohammed is working as a doctor and public health specialist at Dhaka Progressive Lions Eye Hospital and Sight Savers International in Dhaka in Bangladesh. He is also an entrepreneur and co-founder and chairman of the Console Limited, which is a health tech company. He's the founder and president of the Mental Health Care Foundation, MHCS. He's the founder and CEO of Coach Dr. Mahmoud LLC USA, which is a coaching company. He is also working as an executive Alpha Board facilitator and regional director in Dhaka, Bangladesh, of the Alpha Group TAG International UK, which is a subdivision of the Noble Manhattan Coaching Limited in the UK. Welcome, Dr. Mohammed. I want to welcome you to the stage. Thank you so much. And I would like to welcome the esteemed Dr. Ibrahim. I'm giving you a doctorate, Ibrahim. He's an ICF professional certified coach. He's certified emotional intelligence practitioner. He's delivered more than 30 EQI 2.1 assessments, which I love, for leaders. He's MD doctors and university students. He is ARENA certified trust building practitioner, and he works with several leaders to evaluate their performance and works through the ARENA Leadership Trust Scale assessments. He's certified as a trainer in the Technical and Vocational Training Corporation, the Gulf Board of Human Resources, and International HRD Association. He has his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. See, engineering is coming up today at the University of Arizona in USA. And he's also a retiree from the Saudi Aramco after more than 35 years of service. So welcome to the panel to both of you. Thank you for coming to this important conversation. So we're going to take this to the next level. So as we're discussing about some of these myths, how do we and who will, it's difference, who will survive or thrive in the AI age? So why don't we go to Dr. Mahmoud first. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you all for having me here, and welcome you all. So firstly, this is very excellent questions to today's era. We just entered in the new era. It's called artificial intelligence era. So where we want to thrive. But we here define, we want to thrive tech experts along with emotional intelligence leaders. But I want to just imagine the future where we want to thrive both, not alone. So here I want to just explain it. Brilliant coder who can build these systems, actually we called tech experts. And on the other hand, the leaders who we call empathetic leader who inspire a team, both are succeeding and they will succeed. On the other hand, I think these both need to succeed in this new era, not only one part. So how we'll define it? What's the actually thriving components? If we see the tech experts, they will thrive if they build and maintain and advance the tools because they're the architects. So their main expertise on that. So they're essential parts. On the other hand, emotional intelligence peoples who are the leaders, they will thrive if they have, we know There, the AI fundamentally, lots of things, tasks they don't do. They cannot do actually. So in that part, emotional intelligence people, they have the access to deal with that. So we can say they navigate the human complexity and building the trust and foster the creativity and understand the unspoken needs of a team or a customer. So we can say the real person who will thrive is this one who can breathe these two. So it's not about being the best of a coder, of an IT expert, on the other hand, on the best leader. I want to say it's being the AI enhanced human because we are the human. So for example, the accountant who uses the AI to automate data entry, right? So, but he applies their emotional intelligence to advise the client for their financial well-being. On the other hand, a marketer who uses the AI to analyze the trends, but uses their human empathy to craft a story that truly resonates, right? So what we can get from these insights, future does not belong to one person, right? So what we belongs to those who can leverage the AI tools to amplify their irrespective of the human skills. We have the skills, right? So we can amplify it. So I think the most powerful combination is technical literacy along with the emotional intelligence. So that is the main thing I think we need to thrive. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's right up. I know our Nest panelists, great area. Ibrahim and I talk about EQ a lot. So I'm very excited about this conversation. Over to you, Ibrahim, just to share your thoughts on this, because we've talked about amplification and the balancing of both technical skills and emotional intelligence to really be conscious, present in that moment to be the best leader you can be. So what is your take on this?
Well, when I thought, is this mine?
Oh yeah, Ibrahim. Yeah, Ibrahim's turn. Thank you, Coach. Dr. Mahood. We'll just to let Ibrahim share now. Thank you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Ibrahim.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Coach Mohammed.
It's okay.
So when I think about this question, really, I was asking several questions to myself. Is this question new? Or is it way back before the AI came back? Now, also, who normally climbs the, leadership ladder and succeed and lead his organization into success? Is it the expert? I know that, and I completely agree that we need to have both the technical expertise as well as the emotional, but we cannot go without the emotional leadership. There is no way. And I thought about two stories, real stories that I'd like. I know I'm talking about, human expertise, but see how these stories might come up. I knew that one of, in our small village, there is a businessman who has not even completed his secondary school. And he built an empire. One day, one of his advisors, highly technical advisor, asked him, why you don't study so and so? And he mentioned some of the things that he thought that the businessman should learn. The businessman turned to him and asked, why should I learn this? He said, because I want you to do your job very efficiently. The businessman said, what will be your job? you know. So we need both. We need the expertise, and we need those who can lead people to do the job that they need to do. Another example, another story which happens to me. I worked in a project for 22 hours continuously. Not because the company wants us to meet the deadline, but because my boss knew how to open the gate, that gate that he entered into my heart and left me really embarrassed and leave me with an idea that I need him to succeed. So we need both. We need an emotional intelligence leader as well as expert leaders. And we need the emotional intelligence leaders because they know how to lead people emotionally and empathically.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ibrahim, and thank you, Dr. Mahmood. I know we're going to hear from Dr. Mahmood also later when we get into the series on mindset, mental health, fear, and transformation. And so thank you again for giving us grace as we work through this flow. We're trying today to work with each other, and everyone's doing such a great job. Thank you, everybody. Let's give each other a hand. Come on, clap, everybody. Woo-hoo. Thank you. Let's bring some of that energy. Let's anchor all these positive thoughts, these ideas, these ways of beingness, because what we're hearing is we need both the technical skills, but we also need the heart, the emotional intelligence. From the heart to the mind to that higher calling and consciousness, as Dorcas has said, is critical, isn't it? Being of purpose and giving back. There's so much to all of this, and it's all interrelated. So thank you. However, we're going to shift a little bit over into some of the perhaps more intense, and I'm using that word purposefully, my NLP world, intense words around ethics, control, and responsibility. And this is again not up here. This is what we need to know, the opportunities to have within us to be able to balance all of these conversations. And so as we do this, I'm going to invite some new of our wonderful panelists, Jorge and John. I'm going to introduce Jorge first, and then I'll come to John in just one moment as I go through this. So Jorge Carillo, sorry. Jorge is a former lawyer and presently focuses in psychology. He is facilitating deep transformation process with the Holigral method. I hope I said that right. It's a complete psychological or psychology model based on 25 years in R&D in autonomous and intelligent systems. So take that one in. As a facilitator, Jorge also consults in risk and security management for leading corporations in Mexico. I'm very excited to have you on the panel. This is truly an interesting opportunity for someone who is doing some of this deep work into this moment. And John, thank you, John. I really appreciate having John with us today. John is an incredible leader in his world in the UK and around the globe. John Farrell is an AI executive and business coach with a distinctive focus on human-centric AI. This aligns so wonderfully to our earlier conversation, ensuring that technology amplifies, that was a word earlier too, rather than replaces the unique strengths of people. With years of experience advising organizations across the UK, Europe, and Asia, he guides leaders and teams to treat AI not just as a tool, but as a collaborative partner, again, flagging collaborative partner, that drives innovation, efficiency, and long-term growth. John's career truly sits at the intersection of technology and leadership and transformation. His approach bridges the technical with the human. So beautiful. It's combining deep knowledge of AI systems with proven business coaching frameworks. John's mission is to create workplaces where people and AI thrive together by equipping executives to embrace the AI responsibly while investing in distinctly human skills, which is creativity, trust building, and strategic foresight. We've heard those throughout the earlier parts of this morning. And he positions organizations to stay competitive in a truly rapidly shifting landscape. So welcome. Thank you to Mega Global Hub and this beautiful panel. And so let's dive in, everyone. Again, reach out if anyone needs any supports as we go through this piece, because there are some ways we're going to talk about that we need to own, systems need to own as well. So why don't we start with Jorge, and then we'll go to John. Who should be responsible for the decisions made by AI? Over to you, Jorge.
Sure, thanks. I think the question needs to be asked, but previously we need to ask other questions. We've talked about how much we have delegated our agency into artificial intelligence, and I think this is the most exciting part of this conversation, because we are fully engaged to what we have in the immediate environment we are partaking, whether it is education, productivity, coaching, and I think that's one of the most valuable drivers into emerging into a new era. And this is very interesting because some theologians of futurology, they have named this particular moment as a singularity, just like we cannot explore beyond the Big Bang in the cosmic order of things. We are now in a moment in which, although we can explore and dialogue and take in account so many changes with AI, so many things are conflicting in this moment that we are really not sure what's going to happen. It's very interesting that we fall very easily into platitudes related to the excitement of this particular moment. But I think that we need to, first of all, understand that we are, even if this is so old as 50 years of age, this is not a new human endeavor. The massive acceptance of AI and its implications, just like any person when it's in a new terrain, we make a threat assessment because that's what we do. It's in our brains, it's in our nature, it's instinctual, and somehow we have lost that ability in a particular proportion when it comes to AI, autonomous systems, robotics, cybersecurity, which is one of the derivations of what these trends are happening. And this is where the questions need to be asked in a very specific way when it comes to artificial intelligence. And I would say that when we are delegating this agency, it's not about what kind of AI we are delegating it to, but to whom we are delegating it. This is very, very deep questioning that we have to make, because the destiny of nations is at stake, the destiny of families, of children, and we are not really addressing this in the right way. Let me just give you a broad context. Just like there is bioethics, very accepted in the medical world, we'll still lack that level of understanding of awareness of AI. There is not a particular general trend of ethics when it comes to AI. The most important references comes from the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization, the Organization for Cooperation and Development, and a particular initiative that it's called the Asilomar Congress, in which a lot of scientists convey in to explore how best we can build an ethical system of collaboration into this new endeavor. First, we need to understand that ethics, it's not anything different than setting boundaries. We do it constantly as humans, but we need to do it properly so we can promote certain values like safety and security. Something very important because data is the new currency in the world. It is exciting how the data serves into our purposes, but who's using that for what purpose? We still don't know. Our own personal data has been openly given to marketing platforms, to informational like Facebook, those interactive models of AI, but it is also being used for other purposes. In Mexico, I'm leading, organizing an association of people who were very concerned on how artificial intelligence, in the Mexicans' perspective of things, is not being considered as a national security top area of exploration. Let me just give you an example of what this might happen. From the national security aspect, our country, for example, is not assessing how much the use of technologies, robotics, it's going to eliminate hardworking people that have been giving a cheap labor hand. Yes, that's a competitive strength for Mexican economy. If all the economy gets automated, robotized, what will happen to those particular citizens that will be out of the labor force? How does a Mexican national security policy in relation of economical sustainability is going to address these challenges? So as this example, every country in the world is exploring these particular challenges from their own particular perspective. So I think that in terms of who needs to organize, manage artificial intelligence, we need to understand that governance is key in the way that ethics are being run. When you explore the risk assessment agreements in these organizations I just shared you, the degree of a consistent framework for risk assessment on artificial intelligence and autonomous systems, it's not generally accepted. The standards are very poor. The general acceptance of certain principles is not really inserted in the way that research is being done. Just for an example, and I have to say this because it is a threat, at this moment, artificial intelligence research is being used in Gaza to set up autonomous target acquisition systems. Can we just understand what's going on there in terms of what is going to be developed? Who's going to be in charge of this? Business owners.
Yes.
So we're moving into a techno-feudalist society, whether we like it or not. So those are the broader threats in which AI is evolving. We need to understand that it's a layered situation that will affect education, will affect the cultural framework of societies. Like a mind virus, it's going to transfer ideas, values, perspectives from one side of the world that have nothing to do with another side of the world. So we're going to be polluted with ways of thinking that will not probably serve the core of our societies and our families. I think this is the challenge.
Yes, and Jorge, I'm going to just bring us back in just for a quick moment because I know we have some deeper questions to ask in this, and I think what I'm obviously really understanding and hearing from you is that about the need for a consistent framework, and again, there's not generally accepted principles, particularly especially with the research and some of the real life things that we are seeing, and the need for safety and security, and coming over to John. John, in your expertise and what you've been doing in the UK and around the globe, some of these thoughts, do they resonate with you? And how would you expand on that for us to really understand who should be responsible for the decisions made by AI? Over to John. Thanks, Jorge.
Thank you, Jorge. I've got to speak now, and I don't know whether to write down what you've just said or think about what I'm going to say.
It is amazing.
Thank you, Sandra, for that. Thank you, Sandra, for that effervescent introduction. You missed one thing. I'm also a trainer in the Holigral method that Jorge is using in Mexico. I train it in the UK. It's a coaching system that's based in the unconscious, and that leads into what I'm going to talk about. I want to bring this from that global perspective that Jorge's just been talking about, that into a much smaller perspective. What I can do or what we can do. You know, the AI has introduced this massive amount of change. It was a couple of years ago that I think it was MIT said that the rate of change has now exceeded our ability to deal with it. And that's a paradigm shift. That's a mindset change that people are going to struggle with on an subconscious level. You know, consciously, I can sort of struggle to keep up with it. Subconsciously, what's it doing? What's actually going on? I'm an AI strategist, so I go into companies and assess where they are, how we can future-proof them with AI. But one of the things that I do is I always, within a company, look for the early adopters. And a few of us have mentioned these early adopters. And that's the technical aspect, which is great. But it's also, from us as coaches' perspective, is to support them in their mindset, their thinking, their understanding of the deeper picture that's going on here. Yeah, they can put a few tools into place and speed a bit of stuff up, but you know, I work with several hundred AI consultants, and one or two of them have been physically attacked when they go into companies. I'm the AI consultant coming in here. People really get quite agitated about this. So going into a company, these early adopters, it's giving them that support to be able to deal with the changes that are happening. And they are also the people, for me, and the way I lead into a company is they're the people that are going to be the ones responsible for the decisions. You know, Elon Musk has said it, OpenAI has said it. You listen to these podcasts and they don't know what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. I'm in the UK. The government doesn't know what they're going to do next week. So really, for me, my perspective is this comes down to individuals, the early adopters within a company. They're really going to be the ones that are responsible for how AI is taken to the company, how it's expressed. You know, there's already a term called shadow AI, where the management, the C-suite of a company are like, we're going to do, well, usually they don't even talk about it, but they've got all this stuff going on. But the ground floor, people actually doing the work, our early adopters usually, they're using it. And unfortunately, I was talking to a guy the other day and he was having trouble with translation. He's in the UK here, the head office is German, and they're having language translations. I said, well, there's a couple of packages around now where you can get direct in-time translation, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I said, you have bigger problems because you're an international legal company, legal organization. You've got to think about security. And he said, oh, yeah, we use ChatGPT. And I'm like, we need to go and have a talk about this. You realized last week that you could search anything on ChatGPT on Google. It only lasted for 3 or 4 days. Bits of it are still out there. But so yeah, my key message here is with these early adopters to support them on the technical side, but also support them in realizing that these individuals are the ones that are going to decide on the governance, the ethics, how we're going to introduce it into the company. As important, how is it going to relate to our clients, our customers? I'm going to cut it short, Sandra. You're running out of time, I think.
No, you know what, John? I mean, this whole all day today, all of you panelists are incredible with the knowledge and the backgrounds and everything that you do. So again, I'm honored to have this panel discussion, and I know Arafath and we're going to be looking future to do more of this work because there's so much to unpack in here. But I'm going to come back now to and bringing in Nigel into this conversation because, you know, we're talking about the individual responsibilities, what we can do, what's within our control, bringing in as a professional change management practitioner. I love when you talk about early adopters because that's like, yes, we need to support people who are doing the change work. C-suite's here, but this is the early adopter. What's within our control to how to look at this, particularly with ethics and control and responsibility. And I'm going to bring in Nigel to then take this conversation to say, how do we then balance this innovation with ethics in a bigger capitalist AI-driven system? So we're going to spread it out a little bit. Nigel, over to you. Oh, you're on mute still, my friend. Oh, I'm not sure, Nigel. Why? Oh, there you are. Thank you kindly.
I muted myself off because I didn't want any noise. Yeah, I was just doing a workshop on this week, and so it's really quite relevant. I understand the question here. There's three parts to this. There's the innovation, which is emphasizing the disruption, and at what level are you going to disrupt? Then there's the ethics side, as I see it, which is the things that the demands on us to adapt to what we believe is the right path forward, be it socially or from a societal point of view. And we've heard several of the great consultants and speakers this morning start to address this. And then, you know, as the focus was on how do we do this? How do we balance this in terms of a capitalist society where we're coming out with new products? And there's tremendous emphasis on us to actually get those out into the marketplace because it could create new opportunities, new products, jobs, etc. So that capitalism is the reward of speed and growth and the outward thrust, if you want, of those innovative juices that we're all sort of using these. So what do we need to do with this? Obviously, there's got to be some sort of guardrails, as I see it. We need to provide guardrails to keep us focused on the path. You know, what is it we're trying to do? How are we going to do it? What is beyond, in terms of governance, what is beyond acceptable as we generate those new products in the society that we're in at the moment? And I just want to jump in on one thing I heard earlier on. One of the other speakers said, you know, I think it was David, said, you know, there are wreckers right now in society. We're seeing that in this country. We're seeing this around the world. We're seeing a difference as well of interpretation of what is societally acceptable because of different cultures around the world. And so that's a very difficult area. Clearly, whatever we decide, it has to be transparent. What the forum is for that, anybody can guess. You'd like to think that maybe the United Nations Forum really could be an arbiter, because governments themselves are going to be greedy, they're going to be self-serving. Where we've got here in the US and in the West, we've got this, well, even China as well, we've got this fantastic tech-based platform industry, and you see right now this issue of freedom of speech going on, the disagreements that you're seeing at the United Nations between what is acceptable and what not. So obviously, we're going to have to balance what are our short-term needs, what are our long-term needs. The long-term needs are going to be more difficult to try to envisage. Clearly, the short-term needs, those are going to be, the tech companies right now are going to be the ones that are driving things, but we have to say no. We have to have these guardrails. So I'll leave it like that. Hopefully that's provoked a little bit of something from the other speakers on this.
Yes, and I'm going to Jorge right now because I knew that was going to go right to Jorge. So this is powerful. So Jorge will take about 3 minutes, even though I know we could go on longer with this.
Sure.
And because I need to get into the mindset after. Thank you.
It's very interesting because if we get to the technical nuances, Nigel, this is very, very, very sharp. There is this idea of transparency and explainability.
Yes.
We have to engage and have direct understanding of the algorithms that are running certain platforms. It runs that deep. Transparency in the algorithms, because that's really the center core of the AI. So whatever algorithm is operating in a particular niche, we need to understand what it is that the algorithm is doing. It's like having a genetic code that can allow us to prevent cancer. So we have to get to that deep depths of discussion. And who's going to do it? Who's going to allow us to that level of transparency? It's very technical. Nevertheless, it's the foundation of whatever is going to happen. There is this loss of robotics from Asimov that it's very, very amazing. It's very simple. A robot or AI may not injure a human being or through inaction allow the human being to come to harm. A robot or AI must obey orders given by the human beings, except with such orders would conflict with the first law. And the third law, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. If we can ingrain those kind of algorithms into the algorithm mainframe of a certain niche, we have those rails. We have those rails. We need to get to that level of openness in the business owners. That is probably the challenge. It's very simple and very
Yes.
powerful. So who's going
Yes.
to do it
And
next?
and you know, we could spend a whole half day talking about this because this is so powerful, and the amount of knowledge and great work that this whole panel is doing is incredible. And I just want to honor you and take that breath in, everybody, again, and breathe out, because those are powerful questions. Truly, the essence of what we were just sharing, that will change and guide humanity. It's very powerful, and we need to have that moment of reflection. And I need to go move on, but I just want to hold this space. Last closing remarks, really quickly, 1 minute or less, from Jorge, John, and Nigel, because I think this is powerful, especially when we get into, we just talked about it. We can't go in depth right now, but just 1 minute closing. The importance of, are we making it more powerful or harmful? And where does that control lie? We know we need to get into the algorithms. We need collaboration and connection, transparency, these things. What are your last concluding remarks? 1 minute less each, please.
I
Jorge?
just wanted to say,
Sure, John. Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to say, I'm in the UK, and AI, the internet and AI is global. And I'm not sure if you're aware, we now have British comedians in the States releasing statements because they're too scared to release them in the UK. They'll be arrested.
Right.
So we're
Yeah.
pushing innovation, AI-driven innovation. We're pushing comments like that out of certain places, geographical places in the world, to other places. Great for the States, but not so great for the UK. I think we have to realize that, we don't live it's not geopolitics anymore. It's global.
Yeah, thank you. Jorge?
Oof. Well, I think the key is to work with leaders and to probably set the leaderships in a certain way to defend the niches that are of their interest. I think we cannot change so broad scenarios in one go. I think it has to be through niches, clusters of people that understand that we need to hold that space. The illiteracy, for example, education, the illiteracy gaps between countries, how can we manage that? No, so we have to hold that space, and that space has to be held in order to take care of the people who are less taken care of. We cannot, as humans, we cannot go as fast as the people who go the slowest, because the chain is going to break. It's like a expedition to Mount Everest. If we go faster than the guy who is at the end of the queue, everybody's going to fall up, because that's the guy who's tired, the guy who's got less resources. So it's a moral question rather than ethics. It's interesting. Spiritually,
Yes.
we're also facing a challenging way of understanding ourselves. So
Yes. Yes, thank
discussion
you,
can go
Jorge.
very deep.
And it can go very deep, but that's the essence of this whole panel discussion. So, Nigel, thank you.
Yeah, as John and Jorge are pointing out, I think it's very poignant what John said, because we've been watching this in the US, particularly as the Irish comedian, gets arrested by 4 armed people in the UK. Very authoritarian, very, very scary. And obviously, the president here at the United Nations this last week actually pointed that out, which has raised the stakes in my mind and put it right in the faces of the tech companies, but also the legislators. I think it's going to be, we are truly in a global community now, where The things that one country decides is going to have an impact on everybody else. The platforms at the moment, the major platforms are US based. How you, and I mentioned this in a side comment to Jorge, not realizing I was going to get asked this, but how do you ask a company to give up its know-how or its patented technology for the good of everybody? I don't know any other sphere where that's being asked. The nearest thing I can think of was the publication of the human genome, where we all have access to that. I don't see, with so much at stake, that companies are going to do that. And certainly the US isn't going to force its companies based in the US, based in California, whether it's X or Facebook or any of the other ones. I just don't see them being forced to give that up. So I throw my hands up right now. I don't know, but we have to keep talking. We have to, maybe this is where the empathy and the EQ side of our humanity is going to come to the fore, because as some of the things, maybe in the West, we're a bit ignorant in terms of what the third world concerns are, but when it starts to hit home, and as we've said all morning here, this will affect anything calculable, anything managerial, anything repetitive, anything with a pattern analysis is going to go by the board. Maybe when it hits our pockets here in the West, and governments have to deal with unemployment of the type that we've been predicting this morning, maybe that's going to provide the impetus for us to say, hey, we're not immune. We have to consider things in a more global, inter-family perspective. And then at that point, we maybe deal with it. If we don't, then as I think Ibrahim said in a text to me, empires fall when we have major disagreements like this from the past, and we have to learn history, I think.
Yes. And thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Jorge. Wow. Thank you, John. That was very powerful. And we'll hold our questions until right to the end. This leads right into the power when we go back into our own humanity, into ourselves, into our own mindset, what's within our own control, mindset, or understanding the impacts on mental health with all of this, fear and transformation. So we're going to shift into our last segment. And I would like to, I'm so excited to welcome, and thank you for being so wonderfully patient, Emily. And I know someone else has their mic open. So if you can just check your mics, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And so I'm going to just introduce our esteemed panelist, Emily Manternak, who is from the USA. Emily is a certified, and this is really grounds into what we do as individuals, is a certified yoga instructor since 2017, has continued with her journey into multiple types of yoga, the grounding of ourselves, to become certified in wellness counseling through Ayurveda and the sister science to yoga in 2022. And she is a life coach in 2024. She has the brain of an engineer to problem solve and the heart of a yogi, living her best life as a self-actualist. Love that. An active and full-hearted individual, Emily wants to live fully and bring peace to the world. So it really echoes what we were speaking about when we come back to the individual and our path and our purpose, our why, and giving back beyond just our pocketbooks. It really comes back to that moral question, our ethos. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose? And the opportunity, as Jorge and others and John and Nigel have talked about, to really, is it possible to unleash and be so transparent that we can bring humanity in the forefront versus proceeds or financial gain? There's a lot of deeper questions to be asked here. So for this particular question, though, we're going to shift our states, bring up our positive energy, and we're going to look at our mindset. So for the first question, I'm actually going to come on over to Alessandro, and I'm going to bring in Vangelis as well. and Dorcas. We're going to do a few things, and then Emily, I'm going to come to you, and Dr. Mahmoud for question number 2. So in question number 1, this is our last main category, is looking at this mindset. So all that's been said, how should we mentally prepare ourselves for this unknown future? We've just heard it from the esteemed panelists before you. We really don't know. There's so much change, so much unknowns. So I'm going to come to you, Alessandro, for 3 minutes each,
Sure.
and then to Vangelis. Thank you.
So I start?
Yes, please.
I start?
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's any different from any unknown future in the past. Future is something that you cannot predict. And but today we have the means to kind of not only anticipate it, but in a certain way, face it in a different way. And we have many more tools. I think that the basic thing is always to understand the difference between needs and desires. Okay, until not too long ago, people would evolve and would want a future where their needs would be met. And AI works on needs because it only works at the material level, like I had mentioned before. So it only thinks about needs, not its own needs, which it's not conscious about, but about our needs as people. And so they know they're serving us so that we can fulfill our needs. Now, desires is something that the AI doesn't have. This is something that only we humans have, and we are not using it the right way in most cases, because we always revolve around needs. What we need to build our desires. We need to build our futures. And we can only do that if we have a mindset where we're heading towards something that we want to achieve, not something that we need to fulfill, because otherwise we're going to have something negative happening to us. That's not going to work. AI is not a threat. It does its job, which is to serve us, which is what it's there for. And at the same time, we are free from all the all the weight of thinking about the material things, about the immediate things that we still have to take care of, but we're not obsessed by that anymore, so that we can work on where we want to go. The questions that you ask: who are we? What is our purpose here? I said that I was going to talk about purpose. This is where purpose really comes in strong, because until we are there with our mind, trying to understand how we're going to get to the end of the day, there's no way we can think about our purpose. So we have to get rid of the weight of needs. And in this, I think that AI can give us a very, very good and strong hand. But it depends on us, of course. If we approach AI with fear, then we're going to go back to need. And we're going to be in competition with AI, which doesn't make sense. So that is a thing that I see that we have to be doing. First of all, understand the difference between need and desire, and then go for the desire and strengthen our capacity to work on that.
Wow, thank you, Alessandro. That was wonderfully said, and it really invites in also our next. I want to bring up Vangelis, because one of the things that we do need to talk about, though, in looking at our own mental health, because we heard earlier in yesterday's stories of unfortunate, people taking their own lives because of the relationship with their AI, and without any boundaries and setting, some parameters, which again is about responsibility and ethics and all those different pieces. So, Vangelis, I'd love for you to spend about 3 minutes just sharing about, what do we need to be mindful of? What do we need to be aware of about the AI's impact on our mental health? Over to you, my friend.
Thank you. I have some relatives that they have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I had the opportunity of being there right when they were born. And when the children are born, they have no reference of experiences, no vocabulary, no database of knowledge of nothing. And as you watch these children, everything they hear, everything they see, they're picking everything up from the environment. And they'll say things, you say, well, where'd you hear that? And you realize they heard it from the mom and the dad or whatever. So it's always a constant influx of information. And sometimes I hear people say, I just want to have my privacy. And I'm saying, well, do you have Alexis or Siri? Do you think they're only listening when you say, hey, play me music? Don't you think they're hearing when you say, hey, what's that bank account number and that password? So every day, 0.5 gig of information is extracted from every single person into all the databases of AI in the world. It's no different than the child. It's picking everything up that we say, everything that we do. And so let's say, for example, you're speaking to your neighbor and you're talking about somebody else. Well, if someone says to me, well, Megalis, how do you feel about all your colleagues here in this panel? And I'll say, well, my gosh, how wonderful my colleagues are, how brilliant and compassionate they are, how dedicated to lifting up the human spirit and really uncovering what's really happening. So when someone searches AI and says, what does Vangelis think about his colleagues? What are you going to get back? My colleagues are wonderful and brilliant and compassionate and dedicated to lifting the human experience. Once you realize that there really is no disconnect from us and AI, just like there's no disconnect from the children and their parents, everything that is being said is pulled into the mind of the children. Everything that we do and say is also pulled into some database in AI. So I think if we become aware and cognizant that, it's like we're always being heard and listened to, because sometimes we don't even pay attention to what we say. So I think if we just become more aware that all of this is connected, and if you want to get even more into the fourth dimension and collective consciousness, the Akashic records, it's the same thing. Everything is being recorded. And when you start realizing that, I have so much more awareness and compassion for people now because I'm realizing my words mean something and have impact. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you both. Wow. And I want to come to Emily and Dr. Mahmood. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being present and being with us, because I think this is key. It's about that self-awareness. And as conscious leaders, as individuals who are doing this important good work to help support others to really ground into the essence of who they are. Emily, I'd love to hear about, from your perspective, what role does mindset play in thriving in this AI world? Understanding that we are taking in all this information, we're actively being listened to. How do we ground? How do we bring in all this so we're going to be okay? Over to you, Emily. Hopefully you can get unmuted, Arafath. I just want to make sure. There's Emily. Perfect.
Can
Thank you.
hear me okay? I did have to change my
Yes,
microphone.
wonderful. Great.
Perfect.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so thanks for putting this on too. It's absolutely amazing. I've learned so many things. One thing that I think is important is, and this is from my industry days as an engineer, chemical engineer and environmental, we looked a lot at predictive analytics versus the feedback loop for some of our continuous monitoring systems, whether it was for emission outputs from a fired heater or other things. And one thing we found important, every time we looked at the predictive analytics, we found this discomfort with saying, I'm going to trust figuring out what the future is to meet this compliance requirement. And sometimes I go back to that and think about that when I'm using AI, partially because my infinite intelligence, my internal guidance system or spirit, when I think about that, that's what's bringing the energy in to predict what the future is. AI is using data from the past or what's available to it. And so when I think about that, I can really reground in the fact that I'm present. I might be asking AI for some help on something, whether it's data or, just idea generation. However, what actually is going to come in the future is partially the input that I give to it. And I can have the change or the input that I would love to give as a way to what's going to be the future outcome. And this is also important for the mindset or the fear, right, that sometimes comes up with using AI, because AI can put whatever it wants out in front of me, whether it has a little bit of a hallucinogen effect or not. However, what I do with that information and some of the things we've been talking about, learning how to learn or learning what we want to do and then giving our input to that information is super important for what we want the future to look like, whether it's from the regulatory or from our own version of what our personal life really is.
Wow. And I just love your ability. You're a uniquely gifted person to have as well from a practical engineering plus also grounded you are the integration of the soft and technical in one. And the importance, again, what I've heard from all the panels today, and we're going to come over to Dr. Mahmood now, is the importance of that centeredness, that groundedness, of knowingness of self. And in doing that, again, I'm going to come back to this whole mindset. Dr. Mahmood, what are your thoughts on how do we set up the right, important mindset to be able to thrive with AI today?
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah, definitely. Mindset is a very important part of these topics today's discussion. So I think first, before going to mindset, first we know the skills. Already we discussed about it. So I think over the skills, mindset is very important than skills. So first thing, we discussed about the confusions, what we have. So confusion, first, when we identified the confusion, then we can clarify it very easily. Then we also, our mindset, another things, we have the fear, a fear related to the AI. So here's the things. So we need to shift it to the confidence. So here we need to work. We have the rule of mindset. So first thing, before going to mindset, I need to some examples to give you, as you can just clarify all these things. So first, let me ask you, what's the difference between someone who sees AI is a threat? It's a weak point. So when you see it as a threat, it's definitely, his perception is different. And when someone sees it's an opportunity, it's totally different. So is there knowledge or something else? They need to ask themselves whether it comes from. So it's almost, entirely the mindset. So let's use this simple with the example. The first thing, fixed mindset, there is a different types of mindset we have. So fixed mindset people sees powerful like a shovel, like just a tools. So there's things like tools and just think it as a tools. And that machine can dig faster, they think, than me, and it will replace me. They think in this way. So what happened, on the other hand, growth mindset, they see same shovel and thinks, wow, with this tool, I can plant a whole garden and build a foundation and earn out the treasures I never could have on my own, right? So they are already growing themselves. So same principle, we will use it to AI. When this example will fit to AI, what will happen? The fear-based mindset asks, how will AI take what I have? AI will take everything from me. No. So an empowered mindset asks, how can AI help me to achieve what I never could alone? What I can achieve, right? So here is the main practical shift. So the rule of mindset is everything, is the filter through which we see the technology as it is, right? So we need to adopt a growth mindset, right? And then we can transform AI from the competitive. It is not a competitor. We need to, is a collaborator, and which is the most powerful things. So I think that will unlock the empowerment. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahmood. And I know we're coming up to the top of the hour. And again, I just want to acknowledge our last panelist. Thank you for your resilience and your tenacity to be here, because the mindset, the mental health, the fear, and the transformation is so critical. And I know we're going to do some additional sessions and things like that from this, because I want to give us more time. But Emily, I'd love to hear, just in kind of closing 1 minute or less, apologies just because we are coming to the bottom of top of the hour. Are we afraid of changing ourselves? Is that really what's happening here? And if so, how do we get through this?
No worries. I'll do my best to summarize in a minute. So I think what's important when we're talking about change is it is a physical change in our brain. So anytime those neurons fire, they're going to be firing in a certain way. So the more we focus on the fear of AI, rather than our internal capability to evolve, adapt, and change with AI or any other circumstance for that matter, right? That's what's going to be focused in our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. And coming past the fears that are even unconscious, right? We know we go to certain people to help support that. So when we can find the right people, thanks for coming to the panel as an example, but also spending that time to really focus on what we do want to in our lives and what's bringing us more closer to our spirit, no matter whether it's AI or something else, or working with AI as part of that. I think that's an important way to think about moving forward with AI and evolving with it in any form or fashion.
Yes, and I thank you for that. And I was going to with a bit of grace. I don't know if we have enough time right now, but Dorcas and others had shared earlier about the importance of learning how to learn. We need to relearn how we've learned and to look at ourselves. To again, the whole purpose of this summit is to reduce the fear and the anxiety. Well, we need to look at ourselves and how we react, not respond. And what I'm hearing from you is the grounding into that present moment, identifying, clarifying, and really being able to shift and take stock, to pattern interrupt, basically what we normally naturally do, to take in information, Chris Argyris's work, and we just respond or react. We need to stop and look at what we're inputting in, and then gaining that control and making the right informed decisions. So as we can conclude today, I want to honor those. I'd love to have a little bit more time with you all, but I need to shift it over to Ibrahim, who has been waiting patiently at the end of this. Everyone is incredible and so much gifts to the world. I'm glad this is recorded because please go back and listen to it again. There's so many great questions and opportunities for growth for all of us, and how we look at ourselves, what we're thinking. And over to you, Ibrahim, for kind of the concluding remarks. Thank you so much.
I really, really, really loved it tonight. It was inspiring, motivating, and also 3 words or 4 words that catches my attention as we go through. The first one is self-awareness. So we need to be aware about what's going on around us. And the second one is mindset, how we look at things. And the third one is responsibility. Now, are we done? I think we are not done. We have just started. I know that AI is screaming loudly on our ears, urging us not only to use it effectively and efficiently, but also to educate others, especially our loved ones, to walk the same path we are walking. Let us harness the fasting evolution and analytical and impressive tool. It is a tool that we have created. And let us not forget that we are the author of this story. AI may draw the image, but we give it the meaning. AI might accelerate the pace, but we set the direction. So the real question is not whether AI will replace us, but it's rather we will keep leading with the machine that we created, empathically, creatively, and humanity. And if one day of one day when your AI assistant tries to give you advice, just smile and say thank you, but I will write my own story. We need to do this, and we need to educate our loved ones and our society. Thank you all, and back to you, Sandra.
Wow. Whew. Bring that in. That's just incredible way to wrap this up. Ibrahim, over to Arafat, because I know there's more things that are happening and going. We got 1 minute left, Arafat, to share about some great things that are happening within the Mega Global Hub and others. Please, over to you, our illustrious Lita.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandra. And thank you so much, all our Megastar panel members. Okay, it just, we're already running late, just 2 minutes. Okay, shall I request everyone to open the camera if it's possible for you, and if you are in the comfortable to open the camera. I just wanted to share 2 minutes with you how we started this vision. Okay, we started this by thinking about how we can create a superheroes team in the real world. I just watch a lot of movies. So hope you have all seen the movie Avengers. And there all the superheroes come together and became the team Avengers. And similarly, we had a dream how to create such a superheroes team, but in the real world. And now on the screen, you can see all our panel members. They are all the superheroes team, which we created since 2020. And all the superheroes team, the panel members are here to give value and to impact people all around the world. And I'm so happy to start this concept and create this superheroes of Mega Global Coaches. And that's who are superheroes, those who can help people and support people around the world, and who can find the right solution and help people around the world. So this AI discussion came with the concept that we could see a lot of confusions. We could see a lot of anxiety. We could see a lot of fear around the world regarding AI. So that's how we came up with the concept of creating a panel discussion with great experts from all around the world. Okay, we started opening the stage from Zoom from India. Then we started discussing with Ibrahim from Saudi Arabia, and then over to Sandra from Canada and all our other panel members from all around the world. So my deepest gratitude to all the Mega Global Coaches, who we call Mega Global family members, who contributed and shared their great insights and experience to all our audience, and deepest gratitude for all the panel members, and grateful to Sandra, our great moderator, who have been there with us to plan from the start to the end. Sandra and our co-moderator always there to support us behind the stage and in the front of the stage. And once again, all the Mega Global Coaches, deep from my heart, and all those who joined us for this event, hope you felt the value. Hope you enjoyed both the day sessions, learning from great 23 experts from around the world, moderated by the great expert and our co-moderator by Ibrahim. Okay, so we can have our interaction right now. We have the time. Okay, it's open for interaction. I will just give the option to unmute for everyone, and let's have a photo and let's wind up for the day. And thank you so much. And more events are coming. And whenever you want
Should we do
to
the photo
find...
first, Arafat? Let's do the photos.
Yeah, sure. All ready? Any more cameras to come? Iman, Hamida, Imad, Vasudevan, Sylvia, Betty. So shall we click? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up. Got it. Thank you so much. And Sandra?
And Arafa,
Yeah.
I think we need to plan for the Arab summit.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
If any questions,
So,
Sandra?
yeah, are there any questions? We have just, raise your hand. We have, just to take a couple for any of the panelists. I'm just gonna go over here. And if not, I just want to say thank you to everyone. This was a great opportunity, and thank you for, again, more to come. There is a wonderful summit that will be coming up. Arafat or Ibrahim, if you want to close with that, so we have something to look forward to as we do, and there'll be more wonderful work coming from the Mega Global Hub coaches. Arafat, to close off, would you like to share that so we can all make sure we're aligned?
Yeah, we have wonderful, great events coming up. We are planning for a Master Your Life event exclusively for the Arab region and also the Africa region. And also regarding this panel discussion, this is the stage 1 regarding the to overcome the fear and anxiety regarding AI. And as a stage 2, we are planning for a AI summit where we will be sharing more practical tools in our personal and professional life. So
There's
these three
Nadine.
are have lined up.
There is Nadine raising her hand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nadine?
I have a question if you don't mind. I don't know. We didn't talk about specifically coaching, AI replacing coaching. Does anybody have any statistics, any data? What can we know about this, please?
Anyone can jump in. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So, leading coaches have created their AI avatar, and you could go over to their AI module on their website or even on ChatGPT and talk to the AI. Like even I have got, so if you go to ChatGPT and search for GPTs, you can find Coach Hemant GPT there. You can ask questions and you will get answers. Those answers, those guidances will be very, very generic. It takes a lot coach people, right? Coaching, I mean, all of us know here, and those who might not completely understand it. Coaches have to hold back while coaching people. We are not supposed to give solutions. We are supposed to get the individual to their answers. We have to help them find their answers. And the AI will, in due course, probably get there. But in the near future, reasoning is the skill which comes in formulation of thought. How do you help an individual see their own thought process? It can get a bit complex for AI to handle at this stage. So, for the near future, while you will see a lot of AI coaching tools come up and a lot of AI coaches come up, it will be great for the first level of coaching, where an individual is exploring coaching, but they will soon be ready for the human coaches. So the role I see AI coaches play is get people ready to be coached by a human. That's all for myself.
Thank you, Coach. And I see that John, the amazing John, has a question. Yes, John.
It's not a question, it's a comment on the, thank you, Sandra, comment on the coaching. Personally, I don't think it will take over coaching for those coaches that are coaching on a deeper level. If I'm coaching SMART goals or grow method, yeah, no problem. I can put that on an AI, but at a mental level, especially at the level that I'm coaching at, there's no way it can keep up. Then my question is, I have a few different areas of coaching, and one is I coach sports people that are sailing offshore, so they have no communication with the land. Now, at the moment, I have an AI LLM that I've built that I put on a Strawberry Pi, which is a little piece of equipment, obviously on a yacht. These are 100-foot yachts. They have a limited amount of power, so these the Strawberry AI is a little piece of software which uses millivolts. And they can actually use this, and it's still in trial at the moment. They can actually use this to do day-to-day coaching, because obviously it's a pretty challenging situation. You know, they're in the Southern Ocean. It's rough. They need the mental support. They need to show leadership as well, because the boats that win are the ones that have the leaders on board. So I'm just wondering if anybody has an alternative that I could use, or a comment on that, on a boat where they don't have connection with the outside world for weeks on end, 2-3 weeks, but they need coaching every day.
I think it's fascinating, and I'm hoping, because I'm on the Pacific coast in Canada, in Vancouver, that there would be something, because there's a huge need here. Yeah, so we're right on the water. I don't know anything. Coach Ibrahim, do you know of any? I know you have your hand up.
Let's hear from Cilicia.
Okay, we'll finish this quick question. So John, put that in the chat, because that would be a wonderful opportunity for us to, with Arafat, to take back to see if there's any of the coaches in the network that may have some answer for you. Because I love that. I think it's very innovative, and it's you never know unless you ask the question. So we will definitely capture that. If you can put that in there, that'd be great. Yeah, so maybe Cecilia and then Iman, just a quick question to the panelist, or to directed to a one coach, and then we'll take a minute to do so, and then we'll respond, Iman, and then we'll conclude. Thank you, Cecilia.
Okay, so I have, let's say, 3 questions. I can sum up all together very quickly. The first one for Vangelis. He said, AI is very quick. Okay, I agree. But it's us who, let's say, give instructions to AI. So if we give quick instructions, then obviously AI is going to answer according to our rhythm and not vice versa. So the first one. Then another one, who will survive? I think we will survive, because it's us who invented and created AI. So I think that humans will survive. And the last one, I think it was John Farrell. He said, as far as translation is concerned, I don't agree with saying that ChatGPT can translate as well as humans can translate, because we, let's say, again, we give instructions, we introduce our human translations, and so it's vice versa. So I don't think that ChatGPT alone will ever translate without human beings.
These are good questions. So why don't we take 30 seconds, Vangelis, and then we'll go to John. Go for it, my friend. And if we can't answer them now, Cecilia, can you put it into the chat? We're going to conclude in 4 minutes. So I want to make sure I have enough time for Iman. Vangelis, do you want to take this now, or do you want to take it and just put a response in the chat?
Really quickly, the whole point behind things being faster is that if you're in a business meeting and you have 10 people and you say, go out and do this, I want to get some information, and they come back in 2 days, ChatGPT comes back in 30 seconds. Instead of 10 people, it's 1 million people. So that's what I was talking about. It's the amount of information flowing in. I don't have to wait days for people to respond. It's just seconds. So that's what I was meaning. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Vangelis. And was it John or Coach who meant that you had that second question, Cecilia? Because I see Coach Amont has a good answer. Language is very complex. Translation with AI is quite literal at this point and cannot capture the essence of culture and linguistic complexities. So that does address it. So thank you both, coaches. We're going to go to Coach Iman. Last question, and then we'll wrap it up after this last question. Thank you so much. Iman.
Hi, everyone. It's my first time to attend such an amazing webinar.
Yay.
Thank you, Coach Ibrahim, for inviting me for this webinar. Actually, I just want to add something, that still the AI is confused and the people who work on AI are still confused for in every step they are doing. And I will give an example of my work. When I do marketing campaigns for my clients, when Meta decided to use the algorithm using the AI, all the campaigns were upside down. and they were totally unsuccessful campaigns. And they started back to get back, please try to use it manually again, and then give it a try and do it with automatically. And then it comes out that the algorithm comes and tells us, please don't use ChatGPT using your content creation, as the reach is not going to be good. So please, when you take something from ChatGPT, just add on what your mind think of. So I don't think it's easy at the upcoming era, and actually the companies here in Egypt, when they started using AI in such thing, all employees, they kept keeping on their status quo, because it's not easy for them for this change. It's not a sudden change. It's going to take years for people to use AI, but still the human part is a very important part. It's the AI is nothing without a human, actually. So this is what I needed to add. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Iman. I think that's a powerful thing. Again, we go back to the essence in closing off today, is that what? It always starts with ourselves. Put the arrow first. Put your fingers towards you first. Get to know yourself. Become self-aware. Know your why. Where are you going? How do you want to get there? How do you want to sustain and be a conscious leader in this world? Because the more conscious, empathetic, human-centered we are, guess what? What we create will be more human-centric. And looking at the great gifts and the shares today, there's so much opportunity. There's so much change that we're all going through. But through openness and connecting to our values and connecting to each other, we can put humanity at the forefront, not for greed, but for the opportunity to help others, to level that playing field, to give the equality to all, because knowledge is power. And so let's be our best humans that we can be. Let's make the greatest impact that we can. And let's connect, let's collaborate with heart without ego. And let's do some great work and have a human large scale impact every single day. Put a smile on your face, live with gratitude, because that's the blessings of today. So thank you very much. We will conclude this. Arafat, can we turn off the recording? Thank you to our great coaches. It's been 2 days